Hey, Israel, Shalom, Yahweh Ba'Sham, Yahweh Shai. All praises and glory to Yahweh Ba'Sham, Yahweh Shai. Once again, as commanded to come out on these highways and hedges and to bear the people to the marriage of Yahweh Ba'Sham, Yahweh Shai before the destruction starts. So before we start this, we're going to face to the east of our homeland, Jerusalem. We give all glory, all honor, all praises to Yahweh Ba'Sham, Yahweh Shai, right? And understand this. And so, the Most High has put this on my spirit because we got to understand, the spirit of Yahweh Ba'Sham, Yahweh Shai. He put the spirit on us, on Jake, on his tribes, to be, really loving people and forgiving people for the most part, right? And so, a lot of us, and be a little bit more definitive, a lot of Jake, just trust the enemy, right? And we'll see later, if Yahweh said the same, we're never to trust our enemy. We can't amalgamate with these people. These people hate us, right? So, a lot of us, are trying to befriend these people, and create, friendships with these people. And that's just not what it is, okay? Because Yahweh, he warned us of all of this. So, first of all, we have to know who our enemy is, right? We can't be blind to facts, right? So we have to know who we're fighting against first and foremost, okay? So let's go over and see who our enemies are. Right, let's go over to Psalms 83. Right? Never trust thy enemy, Israel. Never. Right? So let's go to Psalms 83 and get that. So this is Psalms 83. From the top it says, keep not silent, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies, right, make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So these people have always hated us, especially Esau, the so-called white man, right? And if Yahweh said the same, we'll see, where that hatred started with Esau and us and the tribes, right? 3, it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. And the hidden ones, the meaning of that is the actual tribes, which are the so-called Native Americans, Seminole Indians, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, blacks, right, are hidden, right? People think we just, a bunch of, Negroes and Spics and all of that stuff, right? So, we're the hidden ones, okay? And Esau is proclaiming to be us, the damn liar over in our land now. Right? Nasty dog Esau, the so-called white man, right? For it says, they have come, it's like it says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, right? It says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. So now let's see who the very first enemy is, right? The tabernacle of Edom is the very first one, the so-called white man, Esau, right? Is the very first one, that hates us like that, with that perpetual hatred. And we will see in the scriptures that it's perpetual hatred. It's nothing you can do, Israel, to befriend these people, and to create a friendship in terms of a genuine friendship with those people, in terms of those people love you like that. They're going to hate you like that, because that's how Yahweh designed those people, okay? Let's see what the next one is. And the Ishmaelites, so the so-called Arabs. Yeah, so-called Arabs, right? Let's see what the third one is. The Moabites, the so-called Chinese, and the so-called Japanese. These people hate us. And it goes on down. If you guys want to, read the chapter, finish that off yourself, in verse 6, right? So Yahweh, is illustrating and defining and letting us know exactly who our enemies are in this day, okay? This is what it is, right? So let's go to Isaiah, because Esau has raised his head against us and stolen identity. Actually, Yahweh gave that to him, right? Because of our continual disobedience to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, right? So let's go to Isaiah chapter 25, and we're going to pick it up at verse 7, right? Because even when you go to our people Israel, right, the so-called Native Americans, blacks, Hispanics, and you share with them, you know, that we are the actual Israelites by blood, according to your father, they can't even wrap their head around that. They can't even accept that, right? You know what I'm saying? And so this is what Yahweh talks about over in Jeremiah 17, how Yahweh has disconnected us from our heritage. So we can't even fathom, right, or even consider, you know what I'm saying, you know, our true heritage, right? So this is what Esau has done to us through Yahweh, right? Because Yahweh gave him the ability to do that. So this is Isaiah 25 and 7. It says, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over the people. Because Esau, you know what I'm saying, is a covering cast. You know, it's like you know, if you cover something up and you can't see it to hide it, this is what this dude is. It says, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast of all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Because, again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, these nations don't consider or can't even fathom who we are, you know, in terms of our bloodline, you know, the true Israelites of that Bible. Okay? So, you know, we have to, you know, untether and disconnect from these people, because if we don't, this is going to happen. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 11 and 21. Let's go to Proverbs 11 and 21. Stop trying to befriend these people. Leave these people alone. These people don't want to be bothered with you, right? Leave them alone. These people hate you, Israel. So this is Proverbs 11 and 21. And so, you know, if we don't disconnect from these people, right, this is what's going to happen to us. It says, this is Proverbs 11, 21. It says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered, right? So Yahweh is telling us and commanding us to separate from these heathen nations, right, who hate us, right? Don't conform to any of that stuff, because you people, our people, you know what I'm saying, are waiting for this devil to free us, and that's just not the case, okay? Right? Right? And so let's see who the wicked is, right? So we know, according to Malachi 1, 3, and 4, that Esau, you know, is the wicked, you know what I'm saying, and will always be wicked. It's perpetual wickedness. Here, let's go over there and get that. Let's prove all things, right? Yahweh has always hated this dude, man. For those that say that Yahweh don't hate, he's always hated this dude, Esau. He's always hated this dude. And so, you know, Yahweh, he created this dude, Esau, for destruction. Let's go to Malachi 1 and get that. Let's go to Malachi chapter 1, and I'll start at verse 3. It says, and I have hated Esau. Now remember, Yahweh, he don't change, okay? He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. It says, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. See that? It says, whereas Edom says, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus says Yahweh, power of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall be called the border of wickedness, Israel. Right? And the people against whom Yahweh have indignation forever. So Yahweh is going to always have a perpetual hate or indignation for Esau, the so-called white man, right? Because this is how, you know, Yahweh, you know, created that dude. He created him, you know, as evil, you know, and that's what it is. Who's to know the mind of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, right? Let's go to Ezekiel 35. Never trust your enemy. Don't trust these people. Let's go to Ezekiel 35. And we'll pick it up from the top, right? Yeah, and sidebar, right? You know, and you see how Yahweh, you know what I'm saying, is bringing down these airplanes again, right? So within the last, like, 7 days, Yahweh has brought down 3 different aircraft, right? And killed almost about 30 people. And so these are judgments, and these are also the prophecies being fulfilled, you know, in these times. So this is why we have to come back to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua and conform to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua and not celebrate that garbage, that Juneteenth that's garbage. That Juneteenth garbage, that Father's Day garbage, that's garbage. Don't celebrate that, right? So we know that every day is Father's Day. Every day is Yahweh's Day. So Yahweh is our Father, our Creator. So we celebrate Yahweh's Day as being our Father every single day that Yahweh wakes us up. We don't need no dang one day that the devil, right, so-called Esau created, right? Every day again, you know, that Yahweh shows mercy and wakes us up and puts his spirit in us to fear him and to love him with the fruit of the Spirit is his day, okay? So let's go to Ezekiel 35, right? From the top it says, moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir. So this is Esau, the so-called white man, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, thus says Yahweh power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee. See that? Right? And I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. And I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Look at 5. Let's see why Yahweh is going to do this. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. Perpetual, that means forever. And if Yahweh said the same, we'll see, you know, where the hatred started. You know what I'm saying? In terms of Esau hating us like that. We're going to show that, right? Right? It says, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, right? In the time that their iniquity had come to an end. So we're going to show all of that when our iniquity had come to an end, you know, and so, you know, Esau has overkilled, right? This devil, Esau, the so-called white man, he's overkilled, right? So let's see when our iniquity had come to an end. Let's go to Lamentations 4. Never trust thy enemy, right? Let's go to Lamentations chapter 4, and we'll pick it up at verse 21. Right? So Lamentations 4:21, it says, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwelleth in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shall make thyself naked. See that? So I don't want to copyright. That is not my garbage music back there, okay? 22, it says, the punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished. See that? O daughter of Zion, he will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thy iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sin. So we see that our iniquity, you know what I'm saying, is accomplished. And for those naysayers, this is the last captivity. Ain't no more captivities after this. This is the very last captivity. The captivity, I'm saying, of Egypt and Babylon and Sodom. So this is Mystery Babylon, this place right here, America, right? This is Mystery Babylon, Egypt, and Sodom according to the scriptures, okay? Never trust thy enemy. It's like it. So let's see, you know, where the hatred started, you know, with Esau hating us like that. Let's see where it started. Let's go over to Genesis chapter, let's go to Genesis 25. Let's go to Genesis 25. We'll pick it up at verse 21. Let's see where the hatred started, you know what I'm saying, for Esau, the so-called white man against us. Let's see where it started. So this is Genesis 25 and 21. It says, and Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife, because she was barren, and Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived, okay? And the children struggled together within her. So now this is us, Jake and Esau, in the womb. So we see already it's a struggle already in the womb, okay? And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto her, two nations are in thy womb. Two nations, right? Watch this. It says, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. So that's why we're different from that dude genetically. Yeah, we're different from him, right? Even though he's our twin. It says, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So, this is, the command of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, that Esau is going to be subservient to us. This is how Yahweh designed that, okay? Right? And again, who's to know the mind of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai? Right? So we see that the hatred started in the womb with Esau against us, okay? Right? Let's get some more. Let's stay in Genesis. Let's go to Genesis 27 and watch what this devil, Esau, the so-called man, Esau, the so-called white man, what he commits or what he mentions against us, right? So this is Genesis chapter 27 and 38. It says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. So Yahweh blesses this dude. This is why nobody can take this dude down. Esau, the so-called white man. You can't take him down. Nobody can take him down. Only Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai can take him down, which he's going to do. Yahweh going to take him down, right? Esau, the so-called white man, through Mashiach Yahweh Shai and through his elect. And we pray we are the elect. So remember, Ezekiel 25 talks about that. How, here, let's get that real quick. And then we'll come back here. Let's go to Ezekiel 25. How Yahweh's going to utilize the elect. We pray we are that elect to take down Esau, the so-called white man. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 25 and get that. We got to prove all things, right? Yep, watch this. So this is Ezekiel 25 and 12. It says, thus saith Yahweh power, because that Edom has dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance and has greatly offended. See, greatly offended and avenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus says Yahweh power, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and I will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. See that? And watch this. 14 says, and I, Yahweh saying this, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. So Yahweh is going to empower us, the elect, to take this devil down, right? And they shall do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. So we see, coupled with Mashiach Yahweh Shai, and the elect are going to take this dude down. Esau, the so-called white man. Let's go back over to Genesis 27. Can't take him down. And never trust that devil, right? Esau, the so-called white man. Let's go back over to Genesis 27. Right? And we'll pick it up at Genesis 27 and 39. It says, and Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, see, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. So this is why Yahweh has allowed this devil, Esau, the so-called white man, our enemy, to take over the whole world, to usurp the whole world. You can't beat this dude, right? You kick it against the pricks, Israel, and stop trying to stop trying to emulate this devil and befriend this devil. Come on back to our culture, Yasharallah, Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. Our culture is so beautiful, right? We don't need to be like these people. And Yahweh commands us, right, in Jeremiah 10. Don't be like these heathens around you, okay? 40. It says, and by the sword shall thy live. By the sword, by the atom bomb, nuclear bomb, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff. Destruction is how this dude lives. You can't make this up, right? It says, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion, right? That thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So this is when David, our forefather, had put Esau, the so-called white man, in prison, right? These people were controlled, right? So through the grace of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, we were able to contain Esau, the so-called white man. He was contained in prisons and garrisons. But we got so, you know what I'm saying, foolish, Yahweh let them go, right? To one of those, to one of our wicked forefather kings, Yahweh let them go, right? 41, it says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. See that? And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. So see the perpetual hatred, you know, that Esau, the so-called white man, has against us. You cannot, there's nothing you can do, you know what I'm saying, you know, to make this dude, you know, genuinely, you know, love and like us, right? So we see where it started, right? So let's go to the book of Sirach, right? Never trust thy enemy. Let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 12. Trust these people. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 12. We'll pick it up at verse 10. Watch this. It says, Sirach 12 and 10, it says, see, never trust thy enemy. See that? Never. It says never. It says, for as iron rust, so is his wickedness. Wickedness, hint, hint, hint. Esau, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, because you know who this devil is. And thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away. See that? Set him not by thee. Get away from this dude, right? Lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. This is exactly what he's doing now, right? And we'll get that in Micah. Esau is standing in our place. He lied to saying that he's us, right? It says, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith, right? So let's see, you know what I'm saying, where Esau stole our identity. Let's go over to Micah chapter 2, because he's over in our land now of Israel saying that he us, damn devil. Let's go to Micah chapter 2. Let's go to Micah chapter 2. We'll pick it up at from the top, Israel. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity. This is Esau. And work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. Because Yahweh gave them that. You know, these people, you know what I'm saying, are so damn devilish, right? Let me be definitive. Esau, the so-called white man, just making up stuff to do. You know what I'm saying? You know, cause havoc all the doggone time. Esau, the so-called white man. Don't ever trust him. Never, right? 2, it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence. Look how he got all the lands. Look how he came over here, you know what I'm saying? You know, when Yahweh gave the northern tribe this landmass of Azareth, right? According to 2nd Esdras 13, and just slaughtered them and wiped them out. Everywhere the dude goes all over the globe, he just slaughters the people, you know what I'm saying? And just wipes them out, right? It says, let me start it again, Israel. It says, Micah 2 and 2, it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses, and they take and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. So this is our heritage. You know what I'm saying? According to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, you know, he put his spirit in us, Israel, Yasharallah, the 12 tribes. So this devil, Esau, the so-called white man, you know, stole that. But again, you know, Yahweh allowed this devil to do that. But Yahweh is going to recover us, as he's doing right now. This is why we're out on these highways and these hedges, you know. Brothers dropping these lessons through the spirit of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, to come on back to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Israel, to stop celebrating all that garbage. Because every time y'all do that, y'all piss off Yahweh. Right? So let's go over to Lamentations 4, because Israel is waiting, you know what I'm saying, for the so-called white man to save you. Come on out of this government and that whole ideology. These people ain't gonna save you. Your governor and your mayor, the hell with them damn people. They wicked as hell, man. Right? Let's go back to Lamentations. These people ain't gonna save you. These people hate you, hate us. Let's go to Lamentations 4. We'll pick it up at verse 17. So this is Lamentations 4 and 17. It says, as for us, our eyes as yet fail for our vain help. See how vain this help is? Wherever you are, Israel, right? Wherever under the heavens, right? We wait on Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. We don't wait on the so-called white man to save us, right? He's a stumbling block, right? It says, in our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us, Israel. As for us, Slakia 18, it says, they hunt our steps that we cannot go into our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Right, because Yahweh is going to unleash Mashiach Yahushua. Even Mashiach, he don't know, but we know, you know what I'm saying, that it's getting close. Look at all the circumstances here. Look at all the prophecies being fulfilled, right? The only thing left now is that chip. And they coming out with that, you know what I'm saying? That's why you see all these big centers, all these big computer centers, you know, that's sucking up all your damn water all over everywhere. So they're building, and that's a whole different lesson. You know, if Yahweh say the same, we'll go into that. This is why they're building these big, huge AI centers, right, to control you. When they put that chip in them people, we ain't taking none of that, right? So that's you know, the next thing to come, right? But before that, Yahweh's going to break, you know what I'm saying, you know, the financial or the global financial systems. And you see him already breaking that down. If you're going to steal, you know what I'm saying, Israel, you know, try to trust in these people, these damn devils. What's wrong with y'all? Yahweh's put y'all in the spirit of slumber, okay? So let's go to Isaiah chapter 13. Let's go to Isaiah 13. Come on back to Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, spirit and the truth. Let's go to Isaiah 13 and 13. It says, therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of Yahweh of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger, right? This is why the Bible tells us to seek Yahweh early, right, while he may be found. It says, and it shall be as a chase roll, and as a sheep that no man taketh up, they shall every man turn to his own people. See that? These people going to turn to their own people. All your so-called friends or whatever it is are going to turn, right, and betray you and go back to their own people. They're going to hate you and kill you, okay? It says, and flee everyone into his own land. It says, everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So this is why Yahweh said, untether with these people, because if you be found with these people, he's going to kill you too, right? So this is what Yahweh is going to do to their children. It says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before thy eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished, because they did the same thing with us. Remember over in the Maccabees, over in the Apocrypha, when those damn devils would take our young children and throw them down headlong off the wall. Oh yeah, you're gonna pay that back. Yeah, you're gonna pay that back, Esau, the so-called white man. So untether, you know what I'm saying, from these people. Israel, come out of these people. Come back to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Right? Let's go to 2nd Chronicles. Let's go to 2nd Chronicles 7 and 14. So this is what Yahweh is commanding us to do, right? So this is 2nd Chronicles 7 and 14. It says, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and will heal their land, right? So this land right here is the kingdom, because the land over there now is defiled, right? We don't want to, no prize or none of that, right? So let's get some red letter here. Let's go to Luke 10 and 19. Let's go to Luke 10 and 19. This is red letter. Watch this power, you know, that Yahweh is going to give us. And even now we have this power, you know, when we're consistently fasting and praying and fearing Yahweh, keeping his commandments, the fruit of the spirit, you know what I'm saying, right? Yahweh is going to empower us and do us this way. So this is Luke 10 and 19, red letter. It says, behold, I give unto you power, see that? To tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy. See that? And nothing shall be by any means, it says, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. So Yahweh is commanding us, Israel, you know, in these latter days, as we see them saying the prophecies unfolding, Yahweh's finna destroy all of this, y'all. Come on out of this and seek Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, our true Father. All right? So once again, you know, I hope that this lesson, you know what I'm saying, was edifying. We're going to turn to our land of Jerusalem and give all glory, all honor, all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, to the elect. Shalom, Israel.